Welcome to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast, and today we want to get into the draft and kind of talk about this draft that happened over this weekend. Really don't know what to say about the Steelers. Wasn't bad. I mean, actually, I understand the draft as far as what they were trying to um, trying to do, and actually, what it seemed like what they were trying to do, they were able to do it. But just from a fan standpoint, wasn't the most exciting draft, and it just seemed like they might have left some players out there. But with that said, let's kind of get into it here and see what the Steelers and did here. But again, too excited about it, but it is what it is at this point. So the Steelers did make a move to try to get back into the second round, and so they didn't have a pick in the second round, but they ended up making a trade, ended up getting two extra seventh round pick. But again, those picks there really don't. I mean, you could hit on the seventh round pick, but most of the time it's kind of hard for those guys to make the team, and they end up, at least coming back on the practice squad and developing and trying to make the team maybe that following year. But with that said, let's kind of get right into it here. First pick, Derek Harmon. Um, I like the pick. I mean, it's not a pick that I could say I didn't like it. Um, the Steelers need to get younger on their defensive line. I think eventually he probably going to play a little bit of nose this year, but I think eventually he's going to be Cam Hayward's successor. So that's a great thing for him to be here and learn from Cam and watch Cam and get all the little tricks and just learn how to be a professional. So this pick here, I mean, I'm not really mad at it. 6'4" or 6'4.5", 313 pounds. He might play a little heavier than that, or he might actually stay. I think if they keep him in Cam's position eventually, probably don't really want him to get too much more heavier. So he might maintain that weight, kind of like where he's at now. Um, but again, no, I can't say nothing bad about the pick. And this is a guy actually that I kind of figured that the Steelers probably would get, and they stuck to their guns. It was some quarterbacks there, and they stuck to their guns and stay with the defensive tackle. So, like I say, this is going to be a big help for them. And one of the things I want you to notice about the Steelers draft that I felt like that they did was the Steelers this draft they got big and physical. Like most of their guys are big guys, and that's letting you know that they was embarrassed about what happened, against Baltimore, giving up almost 300 yards rushing, and they're trying to get some guys in there with some beef, to stop that run. So this draft here was really more of a let's get some guys in here to stop the Baltimore Ravens. All right, so they didn't have a second round pick. They waited to the third round. Caleb Johnson, running back from Iowa, as you can see, 6'1", 224 pounds. Um, he went to the combine. He ran a 4.57, but big, powerful guy. I mean, honestly, he looked like Najee Harris, but he's a little bit more. I mean, he's faster than Najee. It seems to be. But then when I watched his college tape, um, had a lot of big runs, a lot of long runs, but man, and I know Iowa didn't have the best offense, but man, that offensive line, they were giving this guy some holes. I mean, that I could run through. I mean, those holes were humongous. So I'm just kind of leery about this pick a little bit because we seen it. We seen it with Najee when he was down in Alabama, and Alabama had that dominant offensive line. He was doing the same thing. But I will say he's faster than Najee. But the one thing, something else is good that he's a zone runner. So he fits that zone run. I mean, he can put his foot in the ground, change direction, and get going. So that's the one thing that I would say that he's better than Najee. So I can't really say it was you might as well have kept Najee. The speed is there, but this is a guy that I really didn't in any of my mocks that I did, I never had him going to the Steelers. I kind of was a little concerned about his speed. So we'll see. But again, it's only a few guys. To be honest, with the running backs, it's only a few guys in the NFL that when they hit a hole, they're gonna take that thing, 70, 80 yards. There's not a lot of running backs in the league that is gonna do that. Now you got some guys, they might take it 50, but it's not a lot of guys that you could really call home run hitters. Now you got some scat backs here and there, but as far as every down backs, main backs, it's not a lot of them. So if it, and I believe he has the speed that he'll break some long runs. He'll break some long runs if that offensive line can do what hopefully we think they can do. He'll be fine. Like I say, a big guy. But again, look at the theme that I was saying that I felt like the Steelers were doing. This is another big guy, 6'1", 224 pounds. I mean, so he could easily end up being like 230 if he's not that already. Because a lot of these guys, that was his combine weight, and so a lot of guys lose weight to try to run a quicker 40. So he might be 230. So like again, like I said, the theme, and you will see it this whole draft. The Steelers tried to get big guys, and just be big and physical. All right, so let's go to the fourth round. Um, Jack Sawyer. Again, another guy. I never had him mocked to the Steelers. Um, Again, he weighed more than 2 pounds there. See that mistake? He's 6'4", 260 pounds. Again, he's gonna be a outside linebacker. Uh, one, big. I had to get this to Big G because he's a big Buckeye fan. He kind of don't believe that he's athletic enough to play edge. But I think that I don't really. I mean, I think he may be developing to a starter, but again, he's a big guy that will be able to. Because Hayward, I mean, not excuse me, Watt and Highsmith have shown that they do get banged up a little bit and they miss time. So this is the guy that you could slide in on probably either side. And again, that theme that the Steelers have been doing, 6'4", 260 pounds. Again, this is a big guy. He's not gonna really get pushed around. Like, I mean, we like Herbert, but Herbert, yeah, he can get to the quarterback, but when teams see him out there, they just run right at him and they blow him up out of there. So this is the guy that he, like I say, I don't know how much the Steelers really gonna pencil him in as a future starter, but he's definitely a guy that maybe um, when Herbert contract is up, the Steelers may let him walk and keep Sawyer and kind of let him feel that position. So again, not a sexy pick, but I understand the pick, and again, no, I don't really have no major problems with it. And like I said again, and I keep saying this over and over again, just the theme that the Steelers did this draft, and that was to get big and get physical. Fifth round, they went defensive tackle again. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I don't. I think it's Yaya. I'm gonna call him Yaya, but Yaya Black. A guy again. I never mocked him to the Steelers. Um, really, I'm gonna be honest. Really didn't know who he was when I heard the pick, and I was like, "Who the hell is that?" But anyway, so I wouldn't watch this film last night. He's the type guy what I think the Steelers need as far as playing that nose tackle. I mean, he's a brick wall, and he can move. He's 6'5", 336 pounds. That's that guy that you're gonna put in the middle. He ain't gonna get pushed around. He's gonna clog up the middle, take on blocks, and this should give Queen and Wilson the opportunity to run free, not letting guards and tackles, get to that second level on those guys. Because Queen and Wilson are, I'm not going to say they're undersized, but they're smaller guys. So once a offensive tackle or guard, get their hands on them guys, it's over. And so that was one of the problems the Steelers had last year was they couldn't really protect him. But now you got a guy that can actually do that. And on top of that, he's going to stop the run and he can get to the quarterback a little bit. He makes a push and he's a big guy. And like I say, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over again, look what the Steelers are doing. And what they're doing is this whole draft, big guys, big physical guys. And like I say, that Baltimore playoff loss was very embarrassing, giving up over 300 yards rushing, and they're trying to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So they're bringing in some big physical guys. So again, not really a exciting, sexy pick, but I understand what the Steelers were doing. And actually, in my mock drafts, I actually had the Steelers taking two defensive tackles. So that's what they did. Just not the guys that I had them taking, but I like his size, and again, this is a guy that they need, and he's gonna play a lot this year. All right, the sixth round, they finally went quarterback. Um, Will Howard. I think a project because I mean, and this is the thing. I mean, yeah, you had the Tom Brady, but that's something that never really happens. When most of the times when you start taking quarterbacks fifth, fourth, seventh round, most of the time you're bringing those guys in as backups. And I think that's what I don't really see him ever developing into no, I won't say he couldn't be a starting quarterback down the line, but he'll never develop into that guy that you could say is going to be elite. But again, going with the theme that they went with all draft, 6'4", 236 pounds. Again, a big guy, a, a guy that he should have a big arm, but he really doesn't, and that's going to be an issue because that's one of the things that I hear a lot of people talk about, and it kind of get me upset because I'd be like, come on, you should know football better than this. And one of the things, and this also came up with Shadur. Um, One of the things a lot of people say, and I heard a lot of people say this with Shadur. Well, he played in Colorado, and so he's used to the weather, and the weather shouldn't be an issue. Okay, so first of all, you have to remember you play in the AFC North, so you know how the weather is in Pittsburgh. You know how the weather is in Cleveland. Cincinnati weather is not that much wind in Cincinnati, but it'll get cold. And Baltimore. Now the Browns are rumored to be trying to get a dome stadium, but that's like 4 or 5 years away. But um, the NFL, and this is where I be kind of wondering what people be talking about. The NFL, the season not over with until January. So November, December, January, you're really playing in the elements. I mean, so you got, especially in the AFC North, you got to have a strong arm to throw that ball because man, you talking about 25-mile-per-hour winds, and how many times we ain't seen Big Ben cut a ball right through that? And that, that's having that strong arm. This guy, even though he's a big guy, not really a strong arm. So, um, that, and that was like one of my issues. Like a lot of people was talking about with Shador. Well, he played in Colorado, so I've been to Colorado, and first of all, you got to remember college season is over with. We're now with the playoffs and everything, but their season is over with in November. So a lot of schools, yeah, you might get a little cold weather, but for the most part, season is over with before the winter really comes in and really you know affects a game. Like in the playoffs, when the season got pushed back, to January, you seen it. I mean, that weather got cold. I mean, really wasn't no snow games. I can't remember if somebody played in the snow. I know it was a couple of cold, but um, you know, oh yeah, going back to the Colorado situation. I've been to Colorado, and Colorado has some of the weirdest weather. Um, quick story: me and my partner, me and my boy, we went to a restaurant. When we got to the restaurant, I don't know what the temperature was, but it was sunny and maybe like about 55 degrees or whatever. So we go in the restaurant, have a good time, eat. We come back out, we can't even find our car. Like what the hell is all this? Like it was like a blizzard. I mean, like it happened in like over a few I mean, we wasn't even in there. I mean, we was probably in there like an hour or so. So anyway, we get back to the house. Um, get up the next morning and look outside, sunny, the, the snow gone, and I'm like, man, I know we had a good time at this restaurant, but I know I seen snow. Go in the garage, look at the car covered with snow. So I'm thinking like, yeah, all right, I know I wasn't indulging that much, but what I'm trying to say is, yeah, it gets cold in Colorado. Yeah, you could have some snow, but it's just weird. It ain't. It's not the weather like back here, back east. And all I'm saying is, you really got to have, especially in the AFC North, you have to have a guy with a big arm because you're going to have some bad weather. And then on top of that, getting to the playoffs, you mess around, got to go to Buffalo. And I mean, so it's just funny. But anyway, um, the Will Howard pick again, not a guy that I had going to the Steelers, but again, I understand the pick. Don't really have a problem with it because, like I say, I think he can develop. He'll definitely be a good backup, and we'll just see what the Steelers going to do going, next year as far as trying to get a quarterback. But again, not a pick that I can really say what the hell. And again, look at that size, 6'4", 234 pounds. They stand with that. We want big guys, and that's what they bought in. Seventh round, Carson Bruner. Now, everybody probably remember his dad that played for the Steelers back in the day. This pick here, like I say, again, you really can't even be mad because most seven-round picks don't even make the team. Um, they bringing him in as a linebacker, but he's really here for special teams, and he's probably a guy that's probably going to be on the Steelers for the next 10 years. Whenever you got Danny Smith actually doing his welcome interview, And as far as talking about the players that they draft, Danny Smith was out there. So that's letting you know he's basically a special teams guy. It wasn't a wasted pick. I mean, you could say, but like I say, you really can't trip on the seventh round pick because a lot of those guys don't even make it anyway. Um, I mean, it's probably some free agents that probably actually will be you know, just hey, that's what the Steelers like doing. They like bringing in um, especially played for the Steelers. And like I say, this is going to be a special teams guy. I mean, he's probably going to practice with the linebackers, but he's going to be a special teams demon. And I could see this guy being with the Steelers for the next 10 years. And the last pick, Dante Kent, got some speed on him. Got some speed on him. Kind of 5'10", 189. And he's a punt returner. So I'm quite sure he'll get his opportunity there. And they're kind of Calvin Austin. This is his last year of his contract. So probably getting him to be a little bit of insurance if Austin end up leaving, and you got another punt returner there. So again, it's roster again. He'll be a gunner. He's a good gunner. So this is another special teams pick, really. They'll give him a shot at that slot corner position. But again, this is a guy that he may make the team, he may not. So with that said, my grade for this draft, I gave him a C plus, C minus, because like I said, this was a draft where the Steelers. I think the first two guys that they draft maybe probably would be starters, but after that, the rest of the guys are just depth pieces. They could have did a better job with, but we'll see. So with that said, that is it, and we will talk to you guys probably in a couple of days, and hopefully I guess by the time we have some Aaron Rodgers news and see what's going on with that guy. We'll just get in there to that. We'll get to that another day. But until then, take care. Talk to you later.